Okay, so welcome everyone to our daily Gita classes. Today we are going to be discussing from chapter number 3 entitled Karma Yoga, text number 33. Okay, 333. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. 333. Sadrisham chestate swasya prakrite gnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati sadrisham chestate swasya prakrite gnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati sadrisham chestate swasya prakrite gnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati sadrisham chestate swasya prakrite gnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati sadrisham chestate swasya prakrite gnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati sadrisham chestate swasya prakrite gnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati sadrisham chestate swasya prakrite gnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati sadrisham chestate swasya prakrite gnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati sadrisham chestate swasya prakrite gnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati sadrisham chestate swasya prakrite gnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. Okay, word for word translation. Sadrisham, accordingly. Chestate, twice. Swasyaha, by his own. Prakrite, modes of nature. Jnanavan, learned. Api, although. Prakritim, nature, yanti, undergo, bhutani, all living entities, nigraha, repression, kim, what, karishyati, can do. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? Please repeat after me. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? Purport. Unless one is situated on the transcendental platform of Krishna consciousness, he cannot get free from the influence of the modes of material nature, as it is confirmed by the Lord in the 7th chapter, 7:14. Therefore, even for the most highly educated person on the mundane plane, it is impossible to get out of the entanglement of Maya simply by theoretical knowledge or by separating the soul from the body. There are many so-called spiritualists who outwardly pose as advanced in the science, but inwardly or privately are completely under particular modes of nature, which they are unable to surpass. Academically, one may be very learned, but because of his long association with material nature, he is in bondage. Krishna consciousness helps one to get out of material entanglements, even though one may be engaged in his prescribed duties in terms of material existence. Therefore, without being fully in Krishna consciousness, one should not give up his occupational duties. No one should suddenly give up his prescribed duties and become a so-called yogi or transcendentalist artificially. It is better to be situated in one's position and to try to attain Krishna consciousness under superior training. Thus, one may be freed from the clutches of Krishna's Maya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare सदृशं चेष्टते स्वस्य प्रकृते ज्ञानवानपि प्रकृतिं यान्ति भूतानि निग्रह किं करिष्यति. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? So this chapter is called Karma Yoga. So this Karma Yoga is a very, very important part of yoga. So just to recap what's happening in this chapter itself. So from text number 1 to text number 9, Krishna is saying to Arjuna that for you, Karma Yoga is better to do than Jnana Yoga. Because if you remember in the end of chapter 2, Krishna had told Arjuna to fight. And Arjuna is, Krishna told Arjuna that you should utilize your intelligence, right? and stay away from this ghastly or abominable activities. And then he told him to fight. So this is what Arjuna was confused about. That are you telling me to utilize my intelligence and stay away from ghastly activities, that is warfare, or are you telling me to fight? So this is what Arjuna was. Hare Krishna. Okay. So the first 9 verses, Krishna is basically telling Arjuna that for you, Karma Yoga is better to do than Jnana Yoga. And if you're not qualified to do Karma Yoga, then you should do at least Karma Kant. So this is from text number 10 to text number 16. And then from 17 to 24, Krishna says that even if you are qualified to perform Jnana Yoga, still you should perform Karma Yoga. Why? To set a good example for everyone else to follow. Right? And then from 25 to 29, the differences between Karma Yoga and Karma Kant were expounded. And then from number 30 to 35, where we are in this section of the chapter, between 30 to 35, now Krishna is telling how by performing Karma Yoga, one is actually elevated. And then from 36 to 43, the last section, Arjuna raises an important question. Is that even though we know how Karma Yoga elevates, there is still one obstacle on the journey for elevation. And Krishna says, yes, that there is an obstacle, and that obstacle is lust. Okay? So that's the main obstacle on the path of Karma Yoga. So if we look at this section that we're looking at, 330 to 335, what does Krishna say in 330? The first line that Krishna says in 330 is, Mai Sarvani Karmani. So all your activities, surrender it onto me. So before 330, Krishna is only told Arjuna to perform detached work. But after 330, Krishna says that not only perform detached work, but on top of that, offer the fruits of your actions to me. Directly he has now said that in 330 for the first time. And if you do these two things, if you just do detached work, but you don't offer the fruits to Krishna, then that equation is incomplete. So what happens is, do detached work, offer fruits to Krishna equals liberation. Okay? Why is this very important? Why is it that offering the fruits to Krishna is what's important? Because that is what makes it yoga. Because yoga means to connect to the Lord. Without offering the results of your fruits to Krishna, there is not yoga. It's just renunciation. It's not yoga. So, to do that, to offer your fruits to Krishna, you must have faith. And this is what attracts Krishna. Because Krishna says in 331, what does he say in 331? That those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondages of fruitive activities. And so fruitive actions. So he says they follow this faithfully without envy. And that is most important. So let us understand this point, Mai. Like, what does it mean to surrender to Krishna? When he says surrendering to me, what does that mean? So Prabhupada writes in the purport of 330 That to understand Mai means to understand that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. So when everything is belonging to the Supreme Lord, what is under your control? What do you have that is yours? If everything that is there is coming from the Lord, what is it that you actually own? So, this first understanding that actually everything belongs to Krishna is what sets the stage for you to be able to give everything back to Krishna. Because when you understand that everything belongs to Krishna, then automatically you become free from the concept of proprietorship. Means you understand that actually I have nothing, I own nothing. Everything that I have is all Krishna's energy. And then, in spite of that, if a person continues to do his duty selflessly, this means that he is working without lethargy. This is the words that Krishna uses. He tells Arjuna, what does he tell in 3:30? That with full knowledge of me, meaning that know that everything is my property, full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy. So, free from lethargy means what? It means to fight or to do your duty regardless of the thinking that this thing belongs to me. You're just doing your duty because it has to be done and you're doing it. This is what attracts Krishna. That despite no profit, no desire for sense gratification, doing it, that is what attracts Krishna. That is what attracts Krishna. So this point of doing your duty selflessly is what's expanded in today's shloka in 3.33. So the example that's normally given is say that the father gives a piece of chocolate or a bar of chocolate to the son. So now it's become the son's property. That piece of chocolate has become the son's property. Now, if the son eats the chocolate, the father is still happy, okay, he's enjoying. But if the child goes back and offers the first bite of the chocolate, or even just offers entire chocolate back to the father, what will the father feel? He'll be more happy. That look, at least now he's recognizing that this gift that I've been given has originated from me and he's offering it back to me with love. So that exchange is more potent. And this is what Krishna is saying because everything is Krishna's property. So when we offer all the fruits of our activities back to Krishna, it's like that small child offering back the piece of chocolate back to the father. And that is more sweeter. To who? To the father or to the son? To both. To both. Okay? So this is the concept that Krishna is trying to drive at. Now he's saying that you should do your duties regardless of the situation you find yourself in. Because when you're embodied, when we are all embodied, a soul will have to act because that is the very nature of the soul. It is very active. Now that person will act how? According to the psychophysical nature that he has received from the three modes of material nature, again based on past karma. Okay? One cannot escape this fact that the body has been, each body has been designed by nature in a particular proportion so that that psychophysical nature is unique for everyone so as to play out their load of karma. Okay? So in the purport, what does Prabhupada write? He says that it is impossible to get out of the entanglement of Maya simply by theoretical knowledge or by separating the soul from the body. So Prabhupada is very critical here. He's critical in the sense that just by saying that, oh, I am the soul and not the body, just that is not enough. Just the theoretical knowledge that I am Atma and I am away from the body, this is not enough. Because theoretical knowledge is one thing, applied knowledge is a completely different thing. And there are so many different organizations that just focus on the theoretical knowledge. But how is that knowledge actually being put into practice? Yes? Any information that you gain, it is meant to transform your vision, it is meant to transform the way you live your life. Okay? Information is not there to just keep in your mind and store it. No, it's meant to give some sort of transformation. That is a role of knowledge. So we should understand that what does it actually mean to apply the knowledge of I am Atma. Yeah? So when you say I am Atma, what are the characteristics of Atma? What is the origin of Atma? Who do we belong to? Who is that person that we belong to? What is our relationship with that person? All of this comes under the bracket of knowledge in according to the Gita wisdom. Yes, in future chapters, especially in the 7th and 13th chapter, this is kind of explained. Okay? So, Prabhupada also writes here, therefore, without being fully in Krishna consciousness, one should not give up his occupational duties. So, what does this mean? That some people will be like, okay, I am just Atma. I am not this body, I've got nothing to do with this body, and then just give up doing everything. But without actually realizing this fact. And here Prabhupada is right that without being fully in Krishna consciousness, one should not give up his occupational duties. Otherwise, what would happen? That person becomes a mithyachari. As it is said in 3.6. That if a person just artificially shows himself to be a yogi or a transcendentalist, but inwardly or in his private life, he is clearly affected by the three modes, that person is actually a disturbance to the society. And unfortunately, in this day and age, there are many such people. Yeah? There are many such people. Prabhupada is very, very critical here because he wants to bring out the actual application of the Gita. He is not interested in just feel good philosophy. It has to be, it's not armchair philosophy. It has to be practical philosophy. In fact, one of Prabhupada's disciples, he was a a master student in philosophy, and so he was naturally interested in going to the temple in USA. And he said that the best thing about going to the temple was the first time I went to the class, the whole class was, oh, you're the soul, you have to do devotional service and all that. And at the end of the class, he was given a broom. Now go clean the entire temple floor. That is your first service. And he was laughing and he was in ecstatic mood. He's like, this is what philosophy is all about. It's supposed to be applied. All this time I'm learning philosophy, but I'm not applying it. And here the first time I'm hearing devotional service, and look, this after the class I'm given a service. Go sweep the floors of the temple. So he was ecstatic that this is what I was looking for. That I wanted applied philosophy, not armchair philosophy. So The point that's being brought out by Prabhupada here is not to give up the occupational duties, because our occupational duties are based upon our psychophysical nature, and this is not to be repressed. This is what Krishna is trying to tell here. He is not telling you that what can repression, uh, what is it? What can repression accomplish? Many unscrupulous and commentators of the Gita, they look at this one sentence and they say that this is a license given by Krishna that you can do all sort of sense gratification. Because what is the point of repressing? You will not be able to repress. That is not the question. That is not even in the context of the Gita. It's being taken out of context. Because if that was the case, if the case was that Krishna is saying that what can repression accomplish, that means you can do whatever you want to do. What will happen? Chaos will ensue. And not only that, literally the next section of this chapter, then Arjuna says, then even though there's something that I want to do the right thing, it still stops me. Now, what is the thing that stops me from doing the right thing? That's lust. So, nowhere in the Gita, in the context of the Gita, does it say that you should have a free rein. It says that you should go and indulge yourself in sense gratification as much as you want. So this is taken out of context in many different versions of Gita's commentary. So what Krishna is trying to say here is that we have two things that happen when a soul connects with a body. That there are certain urges, two kind of urges that come out. And these two kinds of urges are two classes. One is you have to reject it, and the other you have to dovetail it. So, what does that mean? That when you have got a body, that is not bad. That is not bad per se, because it is through this body that we are able to execute devotional activities and thus be able to become or get liberated and go back home back to Godhead. So even in the Bhagavatam, this material body has been given two different names. One is Kleshada and the other one is Artadha. So klesha means problems, it means miseries, and da means to give, to grow. So klesha da means this body is that which gives a lot of misery. And at the same time, it's also in the same Bhagavatam, it says it is artha. Artha means wealth. Then this body is also a giver of wealth. What type of wealth? It gives you spiritual wealth. It gives you the opportunity to gain spiritual wealth by doing devotional service. So, depending on how you use this body, it can either be a kleshada or it can be a arthada. Yeah. So, the two urges that come in this body are of two types. One is you have the material nature, your basic characteristics that help you to function in this life, in this body. And then there is the material desires, which are also known as vasana. Now, vasana, these are generated by the what are they called? Six anarthas. So, what are the six anarthas? Lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, and envy. These are the six anarthas that create material desires in a person, and those material desires are known as vasana. But the material nature is to be dovetailed. Vasanas or material desires, they are not, what do you call? They are not. They're superficial to our psychophysical nature, and they cannot be harmonized with dharma. They cannot be harmonized with spiritual life because by their very nature they're material. But material, the nature, the psychophysical nature that you are born with, that can be harmonized towards dharma. That is your innate nature. And so there are four types, broad types of the psychophysical nature you can have. What are the four types? Like what are the four types? What are the four varnas? Brahm, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. These are the four broad psychophysical natures that a person is endowed with. Now, what is the effect if you repress acting in that nature that is yours? So, say if you are of a Brahmanical nature and then you are forced into working under the tendency of a Vaishya. Or say, okay, let's say there is a person with a Vaishya mentality and he is told to go and study scriptures and all that. You can try to do it, but it is not sustainable. As soon as that person with Vaishya mentality comes to read scriptures, the first thing is like, oh, this is a nice book. I think I can market this very well. I think I'll be able to sell many copies of this. What is the thinking? It's all business minded. What about the book? That's secondary. The primary is how much money can I get for this book? That is the thinking. That is because that is the Vaishya mentality. That is always profit seeking. Yes? So there is very important for you to understand what your Varna is. And that you have to try it out. You have to do a lot of self-discovery for yourself to find out what is it that you're good at. What is it that comes naturally to you. What type of work comes naturally to you. When you do some sort of self-introspection, you'll be able to find your psychophysical nature. Okay? This is even what in the modern world it's become like, what's the purpose? What's your purpose? Or in another sense, where can I get job satisfaction? Because job satisfaction only happens when you are situated in a job that is according to your nature. Otherwise, you're not going to find satisfaction. Right? So you could be a doctor, you could qualify as a doctor, but your innate nature is to be a businessman. So what will happen? Very well. What will happen? So you have to come back to your nature. You have to come back to your nature. So the effects of what will happen when you repress acting in your own nature is one, you will become, actually let's see with an example. Say you take a fish out of water. What is happening to the fish? Huh? Suffocating. What else? What happens to the fish? When it's suffocating, then? Dies. What else? Before it dies, say it doesn't die immediately. Struggles. It's uncomfortable. It feels alienated. It feels like, where is this place that I've come to? So, like a fish is out of water, is what we are when we are not working in our psychophysical nature. Because what happens is, if we are not also working in our nature or situated in our nature, what we try to do is so that means we are materially dissatisfied. So we try to change around material situations to get material happiness. Yeah, even Maslow, there's a famous philosopher called Maslow. And he theorized that there are 5 different levels of happiness. And to unlock the next level, you must have fulfilled the level below it. So the completely below level is at the most basic level of food, clothing, shelter, and all that. And if you go higher, then there's one level where there is
satisfaction in your work, in your accomplishments, in all that. That is at the third or fourth level. But the highest level is the fifth level, which is self actualization or self realization. That cannot actually happen until all your other four below are in order. So, what happens if you're not engaged in your nature is it makes it much more harder for you to be able to sustain a serious spiritual life, because your material life is all over the place. It is all over the place. So then Krishna doesn't want us to be miserable. That is why he's telling us to work according to our nature. Because when you work according to your nature, the result of that is that you become one, that work doesn't seem like work. It becomes your identity. It becomes an extension of you. So what happens when if you're not working, if you're not working according to your dharma or your nature, is you are trying to find validation elsewhere. Right? Okay, I don't enjoy doing this work, but it is helping to pay my bills. It's helping to get me my daily bread. So that's, and then okay, it's also giving me fame. It's giving me recognition. All these external validations are what people seek, and they try to feel happiness from that, but they don't realize that internally they are most unsatisfied, that because they are not actually doing something that is natural to them. But if something is natural to you, then you are not concerned about whether I'm getting too much money from this or I'm getting recognition of it. Because you're getting an innate joy. Otherwise, what's happening, the before thing is you're finding joy because of the results of that work. But here you're finding joy because of the work. It is a completely different mindset. It's a completely different thing. Because when you find joy in the work, you're not finding a lot of expectations and affirmations from elsewhere. So it also naturally increases the level of detachment that you can have within yourself. And in the other case, it's very difficult for you to practice detachment. So all of this advice from Krishna is very, very practical in this day and age. That you need to work according to your nature, because when you work according to your nature, it is easier for you to be able to be situated and practice spiritual life easier and better alongside your material life. Alongside your material life. So that's why Krishna had created this varnashram system. This whole varnashram system is a scientific system created by Krishna to accommodate all types of psychologies, to accommodate all types of consciousness in this world. But Varnashram system is a gradual process, because it takes a long time for you to be materially situated, then also be able to then find detachment easier to do with, to sustain a spiritual life alongside your material life. Because this is what was the the job of kings of the Vedic age. They were supposed to be able to implement the Varnashram system very well in their kingdoms, so that everyone in their kingdoms is looked after materially as well as spiritually. That was the goal or the aim of the Kshatriya class. Okay? So Krishna said that this is a gradual process, but even a faster process than this is to do what? Bhakti. Because bhakti is a rapid elevator. It's like going up the stairs or going up the elevator. Bhakti yoga is like the elevator. It doesn't matter what your psychophysical nature is. you can practice bhakti and you will be able to rise very fast through that people, like Prabhupada ji has shown that when he went to the West, the people over there were even lower than a Shudra class. They were even lower. And within no time, because of the power of Bhakti Yoga, because of the power of chanting the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So many people who are from that civilization took up the process of bhakti and became very elevated. Became very elevated. So this is just the power of bhakti yoga. Within one lifetime, you can have a complete elevation in your consciousness. Yeah, even in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I think it is said, "Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Sudra Henitai Jai Krishna Tattva Veta Say Guru Hoy." So that doesn't matter whether it's a Vipra, Brahmana, or a Shudra. That doesn't matter. As that person who knows Krishna Tattva, that person is eligible to become a spiritual master. So this is what we see, that people who are joining ISKCON at the beginning stage, they were completely not even in the system of Varnashram, and all of a sudden they, with the power of bhakti, with the power of the chanting of the holy name, they are at the post of spiritual masters. Yeah. So the main point in Prabhupada is that unless one is situated on the transcendental platform of Krishna consciousness, he cannot get free from the influence of the modes of material nature. And this is very important. That we must be always situated on the transcendental platform. And if you are not able to do that, then don't renounce your occupational duties prematurely. Do not do that. Because you will just become a pretender. You will become a mithyachari. You will become a burden to society because you are setting a very bad example, right? So Krishna is never telling Arjuna to shirk out of his duties. He is telling Arjuna that you do the duty that you're meant to do by your nature, that you're meant to do. Then only will it be beneficial for you and for the society at large. Because we all have a particular nature through which we are all able to make our specific contribution to society at large. And we have to find that for ourselves. Yes? Before it was before when the population was more conscious about the spiritual education, the spiritual knowledge, society was such organized that even the children were begotten so that they carry with them a certain nature. Nowadays we have lost that. That is why it's very difficult for us to find our nature, because we don't know under what consciousness we were conceived in. We don't know that. So in this day and age, it is more of a question of inner reflection. Before it was a case that it was a Brahmana a couple, they would try to conceive a Brahmana quality child. Yes, it was more a case that if somebody was born in that, there must be a conscious effort to try to also get progeny of that sort of consciousness. But so it's not only on birth, it's also on the consciousness, it's also on what the soul carries, on the quality of the soul. So that is what Prabhupada is trying to say here, is that you must always do your occupational duties until such a time when you become fully in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, one has to be factually realized. Then only What does it mean to be situated on the transcendental platform? It means that you have become factually realized. And then only does one get liberated and get to the stage of becoming free from his occupational duties. Okay? So this is what Prabhupada has tried to explain in this purport. Is there any questions? Any questions? Okay. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.